To go live. And we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Thrive O'Clock with Rachelle and Mel. And we have one of our favorite guests today, our friend Dr. Joy, who is amazing. Hey. And so we hope you're doing okay today. We know that it's the first week for a lot of people going back. Dr. Joy and I were just talking about how we're still not like in our routines. So it doesn't matter if you've been back for a few weeks, you're struggling with those routines, let us know and tell us how it's going. Rachelle, how are you doing?
I'm good. Now I know that I had to think. I'm doing very well, and it's been a good week. It's been an interesting week. I'll say that. A couple of the days this week I wasn't so sure, but yeah, it's all good. Good week. Looking forward to the weekend. Excited to have our good friend Linnell here today, who I miss terribly.
Yes, I miss you guys too.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have you here to talk about your book and all the work that you do. So thank you for joining us today.
Yes, I'm glad we could finally kind of get time to do this.
I know.
Me too. And fun fact, before the world turned crazy, we were all together in Nashville. So
yes,
you two were my last friends that I really did anything fun with. So
yeah, because it's like right after that, everything seemed to shut down.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it sure did. But anyway, happier times. Linnell, congratulations on your release for Back to Zero. Tell us all about it.
Oh, well, I definitely needed it this week. just kind of, getting back into the groove of things with the kids and trying to manage kind of my workload with their workload. And Back to Zero is really, the purpose of that book is to help. I made it for kids, but really everyone with de-escalation strategies. When we are feeling those big emotions, when we're feeling overwhelmed, when we come across a challenge, it's just how do we de-escalate? How do we navigate those big emotions? And I can, a lot of times when I talk about the book, I talk about specific examples just from my educational setting as an administrator and as a teacher and different lines of work. But this week I can talk about it just as a mom and an educator trying to navigate and balance and adjust, my workload and my student/kids workload at the same time. So there were definitely times where my kids are even using that language. Okay, mom, let's get back to zero, just trying to figure everything out. I'll tell you one funny story. I posted it. We got up in the morning and my son had a math Zoom meeting. And so they were learning about the power of yet. And so I looked at him and I said, "You're not smiling yet," because he had this like grumpy face. And he said, "I haven't eaten yet." And so we were just kind of like, everything's kind of crazy, trying to get it all together. And so that helped me several times this week, just learning how to, sometimes you need to walk away, you need to stop what you're doing. This area I have out here was a project that we did during the quarantine. It's our garden, and I call it my Zen area. And everybody in the house uses it at a different time. My son was painting out here one day this week. My daughter was doing her homework out here, and this is an area that helps us kind of get back to zero. It's a piece of all of us in here, different things, and even the dog was out here a couple times. So I think having that space where you can step away is one of the main coping strategies that I've used this week.
I love that. I'm showing the back to zero response because the way that your illustrations are set up, you don't see this little guy smiling until the very end when he finds how to get back to zero. So that's a really important part of how the illustrations go along with the story. And another thing too is you have in your book, you have discussion questions because you are an educator and you know that it's not just the story. You stop and and you're done. Close it. The end. Bye-bye. It's not like that.
No.
Yeah, discussion questions. And when you were talking, something I thought about, and follow-up activities, you are after my heart. I love this. I love this. So teachers, if you're watching, this is great for your class, but just like Dr. Joy said, this is for everybody. It's not just for kids, it's for adults too. And if I were a new teacher, I would love to have this in my class because it teaches us through the modeling of how to teach our young ones how to come back down. But it's for all ages, for sure. Absolutely. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And I can't wait to have both of you and Jeff Kubiak on my Thrive and EDU on Learning Revolution next Wednesday to
Next
talk
Wednesday.
about to talk about writing and the importance of telling our stories, and just to talk about your books, and just for everybody, even just having, how can we get our students to write more? So looking forward to that conversation as well next week.
I actually feel like not just my book, I have just a nice collection from EduMatch period of children's books that I feel I'll be using with my children at home this year. So I had my kids, Melly, I'm going to sneak this in. I had my kids sit down and I had them read I'm Sorry Story together. And it was at that time they needed it, and so they they kind of came to the table like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, okay, read one page at a time. You read one page, you read one page. Just to see how they would react. But they actually enjoyed it, and the lesson the practical lesson. I wrote Back to Zero because I feel like stories are wonderful. I love stories. I love magical stories. I love using my imagination. And then I also think that sometimes kids just need to hear it simply. They need to be able to read it independently when there may not be someone to read it with them and help them make those inferences. So I think some of these books that we have are kind of follow that model.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that. That makes my heart happy. Did they say anything afterwards? Like,
oh, they
did.
Just... And we were talking about how they're not going to say it to me that they made that connection to how they act with each other, but the fact that they were like continue to read it was a good sign that they took something away from it.
Wow, that's cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I had no idea you were going to bring that in. And I got to say, since we've talked about your book and my book, I want to talk about Rachelle's book, Unconventional. I get to lead a Twitter chat for Book Camp PD this Sunday.
Oh, nice.
At 7:30, y'all. Is it 7:30 Eastern?
7:30
So,
Eastern.
I hope you guys will join. I really have enjoyed reading this book, and you don't have to have read this book. You don't have to hold this book in your hands to actually join us. While I do talk about the book, it's something that you can still join us even if you don't have it. But this is a great book to have. And as I read it, I was like, all of the resources that Rachelle shares in here. So she's giving you strategies, but she's also saying, hey, this is good with Flipgrid, or this is good with Wakelet, or maybe it was Padlet. I can't remember. But anyway, there's a lot of good stuff in here. So I'm just going to shout her out too. Okay. And we're all EduMatchers. Hello.
Yeah, I know.
That connection, not only professionally, but personally. I think that's important right now during these times that it's easy to want to kind of isolate sometimes and but especially now as we're like switching over, we kind of went through this phase where time wasn't of the essence as much. Right. And now that we're kind of getting back and things are speeding up, it's easy to go back into our separate corners and put the head down into work. So I'm glad that I'm still able to connect with you all on a personal and professional level.
I totally agree. And Rachelle, stop me if I keep interrupting you. Did you? Okay, because you know what, Dr. Joy, you nailed it. I mean, I think that's what's the hardest thing is that we went so long, just kind of like every day, like a toe in the water, just kind of seeing how it was going to be. And now we're like straight back to work. And I'm struggling. So yeah, you know that I'm homeschooling my kids and I'm doing kindergarten, 2nd, 4th, and 6th grade. And then I have a 2-year-old. So I feel like I want to pull my hair out at the end of the day because I'm trying to do that and fit everything else in. And like last night, I was like, I'm failing my kids, what does it matter if I do anything else well, but my kids don't get the best of me. And you guys know, we have this guilt. A lot of times we put our family second to our jobs. And so I'm struggling with that too, to be honest.
And those who don't have, and those who don't have children, it could be something else. It's like, maybe you have your position, you have your role, but there's this other gift that you have that you're trying to share to the world, and that's your baby. It's your gift that you want to share, but you get so overwhelmed with that those passions and those things that you love to do kind of get put to the side. And so we always need a reminder that we keep doing those things.
Not enough hours in the day.
Definitely not enough hours in the day.
It's not.
But we have to make it.
Yeah, in like my computer today, teaching all day, I have 2 computers and going back and forth. And I was teaching in my one class and like the camera showed that it was still on, but it wasn't on. So then I logged out a couple of times, turned the computer off, a couple times and wasn't working, but then all of a sudden it's back. So I don't know. I lost so much time trying to figure that out.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking then all of these things that are piling up on my list, that it being Friday, I would like to not work after a certain period of time. But the reality is like, okay, it's the weekend and I'm already thinking, all right, I got these meetings or I got this work I want to do on the weekend and maybe I'll take a nap or maybe I'll do, whatever, like family, friends and stuff. And it's hard to kind of stop working, especially if we're doing this remote distance learning and school is different. We're not confined to not that we ever were confined to those hours, but especially now being available so much more, it's hard to kind
It
of
is.
slow down.
And sometimes
It
it's
is.
like, well, what do you think about, well, what does joy have to do with time management? Everything for me, because, you know, I I really need to get up early in the morning to kind of set my day going. And that's been hard for me this week to be consistent with getting up early um, at a certain time so that I'm able to, be productive throughout the day, give my kids the attention they need, get my work done, and all the projects I'm working on with Back to Zero. There are a lot of organizations that need support. The book is one thing, but it's a professional learning tool. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
working with different organizations and providing professional learning. And so that, that workload of trying to take the time to do those things, setting a schedule, it has everything to do with being joyful at the end of the day. It's hard, but
Right.
it's like, that's the work you put in. And that's why I always call it joy work, because it takes work, and that setting the routines and procedures is the work that you have to do each day to get the results you want. So just gotta get back to that time management. This week was rough. I'm gonna tell you, this week was rough. But be better next week. Give yourself some grace.
Was this the first week that you were back to school also?
Well, yes, this is the first week that it felt like everything was full force. The kids having their workload. I have one in middle school and I have a fifth grader. And so, those are tricky ages because they can be,
Mm-hmm.
independent, but it's like not really independent. And
Right.
so, that just managing their task and then the task that I'm doing, and just like everyday household, things. So just learning that you can only do what you can do in a day. And my sister lives here in Virginia Beach where I live, and she's having a little get together this evening. And I was like, I'm not gonna go because but I was like, you know what, I am gonna go because that's important too. And if I didn't get it done by now, I'm gonna take some time and spend that time with my family, because that's the time you can't get back. And so
Right.
trying to
And
balance that and remembering, just to keep that peace, the things that you love, your self-care, making time for that, and being around my family and having some laughs is definitely part of my self-care.
I know, and part of mine too. And I really do miss the human connection. I don't really feel like in here in Alaska that I have a lot of human connections.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, right now, most of my friends we're all pretty separate. Even the ones local, we talk to each other via text, but that's about as far as it goes right now. And I'm really missing that. I'm not really close with a lot of my family, so I don't know that I'd be spending family time if I were still in
Yeah.
Texas. But but I have a large family here. My kids and my husband. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Something that has been helping us. We've talked about how we have to be so much more intentional than we are.
Yeah.
We allow ourselves to get into these ruts where he and I are both working from home, and then we feel so tired that we're letting the kids run a little wild. And by
Yeah.
wild, I mean they're just doing whatever they want to do, and we're not getting anything done beyond work. And so anyway, here we go.
And
Hey,
that's
glad
the piece
you're
I
back.
think that we have to. Hey, Rachelle's back.
Hey, it was the camera. I jinxed
Oh,
it.
Yeah,
okay. I think
technical difficulties.
that's the piece we have to give ourselves grace about, because we know that we have, that those things that we're kind of learning, and we're
Hmm.
learning a lot about ourselves. I'm learning about like how I work and what things I need as a person. Like I need breaks. Like I purchased some sand timers for myself
I
and the
saw
kids,
that.
and that's something that's a useful tool just to help my children, take the breaks and stay on task. And I can use that too. So like I think over this week I've learned some things about myself as a as far as my patience for sure, but how I manage time. And I definitely have some room for improvement in that area.
Yeah, you and me both, honey.
Man, Netflix has us all messed up since
I know it
quarantine.
does. And then I get so sad. I watched Cobra Kai this week. Like the last week, I finished up Stranger Things. This week, I did Cobra Kai. I could not stop, and it ruined my complete routines. On Monday and Tuesday, I went through it
Well,
all.
I'm gonna watch that. I have to watch that. I watched Away with Hilary Swank. Away.
I tried. I got so mad. I couldn't. What?
Yeah.
I can't believe that she would not go back down to earth. I'm like, honey, you get off of that moon. Your husband had a stroke. Don't you leave that baby by herself. I was mad. I told my husband, I cannot watch this. If she doesn't choose her family, I'm done. And the thing is that obviously she didn't because she had to go to Mars. So I couldn't do it. Although they had a steamy session in there, that kind of, never mind. Anyway, I won't go there.
My eyes get big.
I saw that.
And the whole thing about Netflix is I get really into it, but then I feel sad like my friends are gone when I've been watched and it's gone.
Ends. Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, that's it. Oh man, still what's it called? Sweet Magnolias. That's another one I'm waiting for season 2. Now that's a nice one about friends, a nice heartfelt drama. That's one that kind of just made me feel good.
I started that, but I didn't binge watch it or anything. I did start that. I might go ahead and start that up since Cobra Kai is over and my obsession with and Cobra Kai. Have you started that at all? You said you haven't.
I haven't started it yet.
Ugh. It's so funny how the Karate Kid, of course, Ralph Macchio's character is, I do not like him in Cobra Kai. I cannot stomach him. I'm sorry. I'm just like.
So Rachelle doesn't seem like a Netflix person. So
I've never watched Netflix.
Yeah, so I started
what you're talking about. I have not a clue. Yeah. I'm thinking like Karate Kid.
Me too. Yeah, me too, Dr. Joy. So. It was the quarantine that brought it on. I didn't even hardly watch TV. And now
I never watched, but when they came, I started getting into these shows and like, oh my goodness, what was I missing?
Yeah. We got a TV and put it in our bedroom we've been married or we've been together for 14 years, 13 years married. And we have never had a television in our bedroom ever before, but we're so sick of sharing it with the kids. We're like, whatever, we got Netflix in our room now.
Yes.
So funny. Not me.
I know. I'm the worst at TMI. Rachelle, how are you? How's your little kitty doing? Your baby had a rough week this week.
Yeah, little surgery, doing well. Nobody wants to hear the stories about Rachelle.
Well, I know you've had a rough week and you're not a Netflix person, so, but and a lot of people, they've had a rough week.
Yeah. So. No, but I had an interesting day on Tuesday. It was one of those, I don't watch Stranger Things, but that title is very, very was suitable for Tuesday. So yeah.
Well, animals are a handful. I have pets, and so they are definitely like they were part of the scheduling this week. Like they were part of the ruckus and hey, everybody has to do their part this week. They were part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, animals they take up, your pets take up, a lot. They can take up a lot. They can throw you off track, take up time, and it's all the same.
Well, I will tell you that because it's kind of funny that one of the neighbors, their cat got out. Okay, so I don't know, like 10 days ago, and it had been coming to my yard. So I set 2 traps out because figured going to get this cat. So 6 o'clock, 4 to 6 in the morning on Tuesday, I noticed that the 2 different traps, both doors were shut. I'm like, all right. And I have cameras out there. So I looked at the one and I could see this black tail. And I thought, awesome, got the cat. No, in cage number 1, trap number 1 was a skunk. And in trap number 2 was a very angry raccoon.
Oh my goodness.
I had decisions to make, right? Like, do I leave them there and get somebody else to do this, or do I just do this? So I let the skunk go first. I propped the door open and it went, and that raccoon really did not like me. And so I kept leaning in to try and, I grabbed a big stick and I was leveraging it, but
you could have lost a limb.
It was.
I would have called animal support.
But you know what? I did it, and it was just a funny kind of story to tell. But luckily, the cat ended up getting caught by a neighbor later that night, so I didn't have to put any more traps out. But yeah, that was part of my day.
Netflix with some popcorn.
Well, you know what's
cameras. I want to see the footage to this skunk and raccoon.
Here's the bad thing. The bad thing is like I have they're called Eyes Cam, and they're like $25 to $35. You get them on Amazon. They're not a yearly subscription. You just put them on your Wi-Fi. You just need the SD card, and so they do. You can record them, like you can save the video. And it didn't occur. I think they save for like 24 hours. And it didn't occur to me until after the 24 hours. I thought, wow, I would really like to see the replay of that with me with the big pole, trying to prop it open and debating with the raccoon and seeing me lunge back. But you know what? It was a family up the street, and it was the little girl had come down a couple times looking for her cat. And it was just, I was so sad. And I really just wanted to get the cat to go home for her. And so that was my self-care.
Were you more afraid of the skunk or the raccoon? The skunk spraying you, or did it try to spray you?
No, there was a cover on it, and it didn't. Like it didn't even when it got caught. It was fine, but I was a little bit afraid of the raccoon. But that's not the first raccoon I had to let out of a trap. So
okay.
Wow.
Yeah, this one was angry though. So anybody that's watching this will be like, what are they talking about? But I mean, the underlying thing is sometimes you have to do, I don't know, interesting things, different things, extraordinary things to help other people. And sometimes it's just whatever it takes. And sometimes whatever it takes is, unconventional way to, y'all. Different way to start your day. Don't need no coffee. Just let go some wild animals, and you got some adrenaline and energy.
Oh my goodness,
you're like Snow White.
It also reminds me of our time in Nashville too, right? We won't talk about the.
Oh goodness, yeah, prom. I'm still traumatized, but I'm not.
No,
we were lucky. We were blessed, though. We were lucky that everything unfolded the way it did.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was a great time with great ladies, great friends.
Yes. Hey, Alexis.
Yeah. How are you seeing? I don't see anybody, but how are you guys seeing people? Am I missing something?
No, I think you're just saying. No, I was
just saying Alexis because she was with us.
Oh,
yeah. Alexis and Sarah. Yeah.
So she's like, "Hey, Sarah."
Yes, happy birthday, Dr. Sarah, and yes, Alexis. Yes. So,
oh my gosh.
So crazy. Yes, we got to live a little. We got some blood pumping in Nashville. It was amazing. Yep. Wonderful time. Yes.
Sure was.
And I got Rachelle turned on to sushi a little bit more than she was. So.
Yeah, I had no desire to go with anybody, and then we tried it, and
yeah. It's crazy.
So who knows? Sushi, then maybe Netflix. Maybe Netflix.
Yeah, maybe that's
you need some Netflix, girl. After the skunk. Yes, Kim. We're so glad you're here. Thank you, Kim. Yes. And after that skunk and raccoon, I think you need some Netflix. You need Netflix and chill. This weekend, you need Netflix and chill.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, Netflix has really changed the way that we watch television.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so crazy. There's so many metaphors that I could make right now regarding education and Netflix, but I won't. I'm going to spare y'all. But seriously, it has changed. Rachelle, do you know, before we leave, because we're getting closer to our time, what are some opportunities, or Dr. Joy, what are some opportunities coming up that you'd like to share, or about your podcasts?
Great. Yes, I'm always looking for guests. Right now, and I know it's hard. I'm trying to pull joy out of people. How are they experiencing it now? How are they making it something intentional in their life? So, and in their professional and personal life. And so I want to capture those stories in my podcast and my blog. So basically I'm always looking for guests and people to chat with. And you can go and check out how to contact me on my website, joyworkedu at joyworkedu.com.
Okay. I'll put that in the comments.
Okay. And so that's a great way to connect. I'd love to hear your stories. Love to hear how you're exemplifying joy, sowing those seeds, sustaining the joy, trying to capture it, fighting for it right now. Just so many different stories. I do a monthly chat as well. I think Rachelle will be facilitating in a few months.
Yeah. Yep.
Last month, Beth Huff did my chat, and she talked about. Did I say her name right?
Mhm.
That's Huff.
Okay, I always want to say, like, do I pronounce that? I just call her Beth. She's my friend
Yeah.
Beth. And I'm always like, okay, did I say her name right? But she did a chat, and we talked. And the first question she asked was, "How you feeling?" It's not. We know this is not happy, happy, joy, joy time. So it's really how are we fighting to sustain it?
Mhm.
And so we'll be doing a chat this month. Coming up. I do them on Sundays. So I always feel like that's a good way to prepare your mind for the week ahead. So we
Mhm.
have it, I think, the third Sunday this month, or no, the last Sunday this month. But I'll post that information as well. It's on my website and on my Facebook page. So those are the things that I'm really working on now. Supporting organizations with my book, Back to Zero. Like I said, it's not just a children's book. It's a
Hold it
professional
up.
Hold it up.
it's a professional development opportunity, a time for us to reflect on how we respond, what strategies we use, even some of our biases towards certain behaviors. So it's just so much professional learning that comes from this. So I'm excited to support different organizations with that, and that's really my main work right now is keeping the joy and then finding how we sustain that joy during challenges.
That's awesome. I'm so
Mhm.
happy for you. You're just rocking and rolling. And you have like a professional development book coming out too.
I do, called Joy
Yeah.
Work, Joy Works, and that's in the work. Still coming out shortly this upcoming year. And those are really just my reflection of some of the times where I felt like my joy was waning or I was losing it. As a professional, I really focused on my different roles as an educator, and then within that, I kind of give a reflection, but some takeaway strategies that I've learned, and also reflections from other educators who have and how they experience joy in their roles. And I touch on specific topics such as reflection and connecting with others and just different topics. So I'm excited about that as well.
Me too,
Yay.
because I helped in the reflection part, so I'm excited. Unless you cut my story, I don't know.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Rachelle, is there anything before we go that you want to talk about or add?
No, they're just the usual. I mean, Saturday mornings have a great lineup of chats, and then a Sunday night, you already mentioned the unconventional, the book study of unconventional. So, yeah, and anybody in this group, please invite others to join us. Share your blogs, your podcasts, your work, whatever you're doing. Let us know where we can find you and connect. So, we'll be
Yes.
back on Monday with
We'll be back
another
on
guest.
Monday.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's fun.
Yeah,
We'll be
thanks.
seeing you on Monday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you're thriving, even if you're sometimes feeling like you're just surviving. You're not alone. We're all feeling the pressure and we're here for one another. Yes, please, like Rachelle said, drop the opportunities that you are wanting to invite others to and share with us. We're so happy that you're here. If you're watching outside of our community on Facebook, please join us. It's facebook.com/groups/thrive-in-edu, another slash, and you're here. So we hope you'll join us. This is a great community. Take care of yourself this weekend, and we'll see you back on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Dr. Joy, thank you so much for
Thank
joining us
you.
today.
That was so nice. Thank you. Thank you. So this is